So what a story trying to buy this exhaust pipe from Yahoo Auctions Japan. I wanted to buy this after it showed up. At first I was like, oh, that's too much money, I don't want to spend that. But I got sucked in and I was like, oh, I really want it now. It's super rare and I'm a sucker for that, I guess. And I tried to buy it through a third-party buyer, and turns out this seller wouldn't ship the exhaust, and the third-party buyer refused to take part in this. I tried to get him to try to buy it with a courier, and I had a whole thing about learning about how that's not going to happen. And then I wanted to find a friend that could go get it and maybe bring it to the third-party buyer, and I was like, no, that didn't work. They didn't want any part of this, and I ended up finding a friend that was willing to do this. And then here it is, a week later. This is excellent. He went to go pick up this on his motorcycle because of how hilariously small this thing is, and look, he went and picked it up and he got it to me. That's what it actually looks like. Look at this madman. It's awesome to have friends come through and help you out like this. Thanks for finding the most awkward way to box this. Now I gotta unsheathe the front here. Oop, oop, oop. Oh man. It's so cute. What's really interesting is, usually I've always seen this type of exhaust as the Mazdaspeed dual exhaust tip, but when I saw this show up on the auction there, SuzukiSport, I was like, whoa, that sucked me in right there. I was willing to pay the extra cash for this and go the extra mile, I guess. And there's actually paperwork that goes with this with the matching serial number. Interesting. So I got a nice little goodie for my little car here. So next steps will be to get this installed after I clean it up some. Just a little floor mock up there. Looks good. I like it. So here's my current exhaust you saw in the other video. The J-Works Auto Jewel Libre something something. I don't know, but here's a better look at it from underneath. It's pretty interesting. Kind of does a whole loop-de-loop thing all the way around. So that's how they squeeze in two exhaust mufflers or resonators. It's fairly quiet for what this is. I mean, I don't really have a reference. I've never had a little car like this. So, look, installation looks pretty straightforward. I have a new exhaust gasket for the new exhaust. It looks like these two bolts have to come off right there. I'm gonna hit this with PB Blaster. It looks kind of seized on there. And I believe the only thing that holds the whole system up at this point is that rubber mount and that rubber mount right there. So with this off, I believe I can shift the pipes left and right to get the hooks off of the hangers. Then the whole pipe should just come off. And then I can just lift this guy up, put a new gasket on, and off I go. These are 14mm bolts. It's been 20 minutes of soaking with the PB Blaster. I'm not sure that it was actually needed. Ooh, it comes right off. The socket was too big, socket was too small. I'm gonna use my ratcheting wrench because this seems to fit and get the rest of it off. Oh, yeah. As usual, nothing can be easy. This nut came off no problem off of the stud. This other nut was stuck on the stud and the stud spinning with it. So that's kind of bad. And I kept cranking at it, just pondering what I could do about it. I felt behind it, I couldn't feel anything. So I noticed the pipe was already free, and I noticed the pipe was able to come out further and further each time, as you can see, like this. And then I decided to keep cranking at this, and look, I guess it's not horrible. I saw that the stud was actually just threaded and it comes out. And it wasn't screwed. with the pipe separated, pull it off. Ooh. Okay, the whole thing shifts. And now you gotta wiggle it so you get the hanger hooks out of the hangers. Oh, careful when you do this, you don't want this to rub your paint on the bumper. Put a little cloth here. The handiest thing I can grab right now. They do make a special tool. I don't have that special tool that supposedly makes this easy, but let's see if this works. I'm gonna come from above and use the pliers to clamp the back of the rubber and the front of this hanger stud. And when I squeeze the pliers together, it's supposed to pull this over the stud. The stud has like a little lip that it has to go over before this mount can slide off. Let's give this a try. It's moving, but it's a little bit tricky because my pliers are really long. Let's see if I can get this over there. Come on, let me get smaller pliers. All right, there we go. Just got to get it leveraged just right, and it should release itself. Should be careful so the exhaust doesn't fall off, because now that this isn't holding it, but should be able to take the whole thing down now. Luckily in this little car, the exhaust doesn't weigh much, so it's not going to fall on you and crush you with its like million-pound weight. Let's try to get this off of this other one. I bet spraying some lube on here might help a little bit, but I messed up. I didn't do that. I'm just being an ape. Oh, there we go. Okay. Exhaust can come down. Look at this wacky thing. Here's a side-by-side comparison of what they look like. This is the J-Works one, or it says J-Works on here. The Autozam. I think it says Jasma under here somewhere. Not really sure what is the brand. Right here. Oh, I spilled some coolant on it before, but this is Jasma 003. I'm going from like a trombone here to like a trumpet. This is much smaller than this. I don't think it's not any heavier or lighter. This probably weighs like 10 pounds. This actually weighs just about the same. Prying around a little bit more, I was able to lift this tab where it was still intact. I'm gonna try to gently get the rest of this off. It looks like I can get underneath. That's good news. Try to gently do this. Remove this into, oh no, not anymore, but still, it's coming off. Look at that, good news. Oh, a little bit tight over here. Let's see what's it caught on. Pry it a little bit around everything. Oh yeah, okay. Let's get it off this stud. Perfect. Well, wasn't a disaster. Okay. I'm gonna clean this surface up a little bit. Most of the stuff is off, but I'll make sure it's gonna be cleaned off with a rag and some brake cleaner and whatnot. I had to go buy a new stud. My old stud came out of the cat and the nut is stuck on it. Bought a new one. It seems to be like this. It's not centered. I think I'm gonna put the smaller side in. It looks like you screw this in until this rounded part, the smooth part, makes contact, and then it'll get stuck. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna use the 2-nut method. What you do is you screw in a nut partway in, and then screw in another nut. Make sure you go far enough in to not mess up the threads, so it can hold on. Get 2 wrenches and tighten this. You're going to turn them in opposite directions to tighten the nuts against each other. Once you tighten this together, There's no play between these. There's still a little bit thread left on the tip, so you don't break this. You should be able to screw this end. Start it by hand first. What you do is you turn the outer nut so it goes in. Screw the stud in all the way. All right, that looks like I got it in all the way. Back the other nut off. Gotta hold the back one first. Ooh, there we go. And take the nut off. Take this other nut off. And there you have it. You have a new stud. I probably should have bought a shorter one, but this will be fine. Put the gasket back over it. I got this adjustable exhaust hanger from Amazon. As you can see, there's multiple holes here, so I could probably adjust for the second hole. This blue one I had was about that big. And as you can see, the second hole is lower, and I think that's what I need to balance out how this exhaust hangs. The other blue one I can leave for now. It seems to be okay, so that's what I'll do here. Attach the exhaust back onto the studs with the gasket properly aligned. Ooh. There we go. Tighten this down evenly. Make sure the gasket back there is properly aligned with this. Unfortunately, I don't have the torque spec for these. I'm tightening them down to how I remember how much force it took for me to remove it with this 14mm wrench. It really didn't take much. So I'm not gonna go nuts. Looks like that's on there. That actually looks pretty good. It's about even, scientifically measuring here. It's a little bit off this way, but it's not that noticeable. It looks level. It might help with installation if you get this off, because I kept banging up against it. I do want to replace this with something else. This is pretty thin steel. It's thinner than the floor, I think. And frankly, this doesn't look that good. I might get some design cut here. It was suggested I just cut Suzuki in a similar font like the Autozam one. I'm leaning towards that now. It's just two 10mm nuts that are holding on to it underneath the bumper. It's probably easier to remove the bumper, but you can probably manage without doing so. The new one I'll have cut, it'll probably be flat. See how it's bulged out like this, like that? It'll probably be flat so it doesn't have to push in towards the muffler, and it'll be a little bit further out to give more clearance here. That seems to be it. Tighten your bolts, align your exhaust with your hangers and whatnot. I think I do need a smaller hanger. I think the 12mm hole is too big. I don't think this will fall off, but I'll add some extra precaution there so it doesn't slip off. For the time being, at least I'll get to drive the car, and look, there we go. So that's it for the exhaust install. Like, comment, subscribe. The next video will be the sound video of this, sort of like my tuba exhaust. See you next time. This is what it looks like on the ground. So actually, I just noticed these tips stick out a lot further than before. I kind of like it.